Hello and welcome to Bible Study with the Feed My Sheep Foundation video channel. Today we're in chapter 27 of the book of 1 Samuel, and as we get ready to go forward in the study, we're going to keep in mind that this chapter is picking up from chapter 25. Okay, we've done Bible study in chapter 26, and that was basically a repeat of chapter 24. But as we go into chapter 27, it's picking up from chapter 24, where David had killed the man Nabal, and he took his wife. Well, actually, God killed Nabal. David didn't kill him, but God killed Nabal, and then gave his wife to David. Okay, so we're going to pick up with that in this chapter, and it says, "And David said in his heart, I shall now perish one day by the hand of Saul. For there is nothing better for me than that I should speedily escape into the land of the Philistines. And so Saul shall despair of me to seek me any more in any coast of Israel. So shall I escape out of his hand." So again, as we pick up from that moment in time, Saul is still after David at this moment in time. Okay, and it skips over chapter 24 and it's chapter 26. But it goes into David still being on the run and Saul still seeking after him. And he decides to leave and go into a territory where the Philistines are occupying the land. So it says in verse 2, it says, "And David arose, and he passed over with the 600 men that were with him unto Achish, the son of Maach, who was the king of Gath." Okay, now David had previously been over there. In verse 10 through 15 in chapter 21, David had been in that particular region with the king Achish and the king that we can see in chapter 21, starting with verse 10. It says that David rose and fled that day for fear of Saul, and he went to Achish, the king of Gath. Okay, so, and then going all the way to the end, it tells of what happened as he was there. "And the servants of Achish said unto him, Is not this David, the king of the land? Did they not sing one to another of him in dancing, saying, Saul has slain his thousands and David his 10,000s? And so David laid up these words in his heart, and he was afraid of Achish, the king of Gath. Okay, and them knowing what he had done, because again, that's the Philistines' land. And so he said he changed his behavior before them, and he began to act like the madman." This is when David began to act crazy, okay? And so therefore, King Achish, he says unto his servants, "See, this man is insane. Wherefore then have you brought him to me? Have I need of a madman that you have brought this fellow to play the madman in my presence? Shall this fellow come into my house?" So then David left from there also, okay? So, but nevertheless, now he's going back over into that land to be in the mix of that particular king Achish among the Philistines in this chapter that we're in, chapter 27, still on the run from Saul. It says, "And David dwelt in Achish at Gath, he and his men, every man with his household, even David with his 2 wives. Okay, so this is when he had, again, he has his 2 wives, Abigail, the other one, Hanoham, she's a Jezreelitess, and then Abigail, who was previously Nabal's wife. And it was told Saul that David, he was in Gath, and he sought no more looking for him at that time. And David said unto Achish, If I have now found grace in thine eyes, let them give me a place in some town in the country, that I may dwell there. For why should thy servant dwell in the royal city with you?" So then Achish gave him Ziklag that day. And it says, wherefore Ziklag pertains, that's where the place of the kings of Judah stayed, in the city of Ziklag. So this king Achish sent David over to that part of the region. And again, that's in Joshua chapter 15, verse 31, where it tells of the inheritance of the tribe of Judah got that Ziklag as an inheritance. And so David was sent over there by King Achish. And so at the time that David dwelt in the country of the Philistines, it was a full year and 4 months. And David and his men, they went up and invaded the Geshurites and the Gezerites and the Amalekites, for those nations were of the old inhabitants of the land, as thou goest to Shur, even unto the land of Egypt. And it says, David smote the land, and left neither man or woman alive, and took away the sheep, oxen, the asses, the camels, and the apparel, and returned and came to Achish. Okay, so after he was in the land, there were other nations also that were still trying to occupy the land. So he killed all of them and took all of everything that he had gotten and went back to King Achish. Okay, and King Achish said, where have you made a road today? Where have you been? And David said, against the south of Judah, and against the south of the Jerahmeelites, and against the south of the Kenites. And David saved neither man nor woman alive to bring tidings to Gath. Okay, so he took all of these different things that he had gotten, went back to King Achish, who was the king in the Philistines, king of the Philistines. Okay, and he took all of this, all of the things that he had gotten from the killings and the war with those other nations. He took it back to them. He saved neither man nor woman alive to bring tidings to Gath, saying, lest they should tell on us, saying that so did David, and so will be his manner all the while he dwells in the country of the Philistines. And so King Achish, he believed David, saying, he has made his people Israel utterly to abhor him. So therefore he shall be my servant forever. Now again, David does this because he's still on the run from Saul, feels as if he can't be in the land with the children of Israel. So now he's over in the Philistines fighting against his own people and taking from them to give to King Achish, who has said he made his people Israel utterly to abhor him, therefore he shall be my servant forever. So that is the response that David gets from King Achish from doing such a thing that he did unto his own people at that moment in time. Okay, so that brings us to the conclusion of this chapter 27, a very small chapter where David begins to go over and take sides with his enemies, because again, he had previously beaten down Goliath of the Philistines and killed a lot of them in a previous battle, and they knew of the fact that that's who he was, and that's the type of man that he could be. And we're going to see that even more as we continue in the next chapter. All right, so God bless you, God be with you, and I'll see you on our next Bible study as we continue with the Feed My Sheep Foundation video channel.